Hey everyone, welcome back and happy Easter! If you celebrated, I had a crazy week. I've been a little bit under the weather and I didn't have time to film a fashion video for you guys. So I thought it would be the perfect moment to share a little Q&A, especially because there are so many new ones of you out there, which makes me so happy. So let's do it today. I would like to begin with a question by Shirayon. I'm sorry if I butcher your names, I'm really sorry. She says, there is a general rule that we wear 20% of what we own 80% of the time, except for people who have capsule wardrobes, stuff like that. How would you rate yourself, and are there items in your closet that you haven't worn for a long time? I have talked about this before. I have a very small closet, not a lot of space to have extra clothing. Whatever I have needs to have a place and needs to have use in my life. So I don't feel like I only wear 20% of my clothes. I do have those pieces that serve me well, that fit me properly, that I think fit my style and kind of zhuzh up any outfit that I wear a lot. But that doesn't mean that the other items are just forgotten at the back of the closet. I know there are a lot of tips for you to know what you actually wear, like you hang everything with the hangers in one direction, and whenever you wear a piece, you flip the hanger, and at the end of the season, if you see that there are hangers that haven't been turned, it means that those clothes haven't been worn and you can probably get rid of them. I don't think I've ever faced that problem. I'm very happy with the style that I have at the moment. I'm really happy with the pieces that I have. There are even some essentials missing that I think I would also get a lot of wear out of. I would say that as an exception, there are some special occasion clothes that I don't wear as much, but I do allow myself that. I think it's important to have fun with your closet and have maybe those little pieces that bring you joy, and perhaps you will only pull out for a cocktail party or for New Year's, but whenever you wear them, you feel great. But finding your personal style, finding your silhouette and what works for you is a great way of being selective with what you have in your wardrobe and wearing everything to death. Second question comes from Nadine. She asks my thoughts on the mob wife aesthetic. You guys probably can tell how I feel about this. I have done some reacting to TikTok trends videos, and I didn't mention the mob wife aesthetic on purpose because I didn't want to be too nasty or too negative. But since you have been asking, it hasn't just been Nadine. A lot of you have asked me this question on that video, so I'm gonna answer, okay? I think it's bad. Not only aesthetically, because it's kind of skimpy, you are showing too much skin, it looks very dated, it only looks good if you have a certain body type. It can look cheap, it can look like you're trying too hard, you're trying to oversell yourself, it looks like a costume. Okay, but I think there's another part of it, and I saw this reel on Instagram that I will link below of an Italian woman reacting to this concept, and I wholeheartedly agree with her. I find that to be witty, we are forgetting values and manners and certain limits when it comes to what we find acceptable and what is not. I'm not trying to be PC here. I don't get offended easily, but we could have called it something else. It could be Sophia Loren aesthetic, hot Italian aesthetic. We have tomato girl aesthetic, for God's sake. So I don't get why we need to make mob wife okay, because then we are kind of giving a bit of a seal of approval to that lifestyle, and I really don't like it. Other than just being a cliche, and honestly, we don't need it, okay? We don't need it, we don't like it. Let's move on to the next aesthetic that I'm sure is right around the corner. I always get this question as well. Helena Summer asks me if I am Croatian. I find that my origin is something that makes people a little bit confused because I have a sort of Slavic, kind of Eastern European last name, but I live in Italy. I do videos in English, but I'm actually from Brazil. I did have a Romanian grandfather. He was Romanian, Moldavian, Ukrainian, we don't really know. But I've never been, I don't speak the language, but it's really funny because people say even my accent is a little bit Eastern European. Whenever, I remember I went to confession one day with a priest that didn't know me, and he was like, are you from like the Balkans or Ukrainian, like Slavic or something? And I was like, no, I'm Brazilian. And he was, your accent sounds like you are from Eastern Europe. So maybe it's just stronger than me. Maybe it's a gene that sort of takes over all of the other ones, but I'm Brazilian. There you go. Alma asks me 2 questions, and they are both related to moving to Italy. One of them is, how easy is it to move to Italy for someone without a job, like to sort of cover your visa? It's not as easy as people think. I moved to Italy because my husband has Italian citizenship, so for us it was really smooth. All of the process was really fast. Being married was a big thing, so they call it motivi familiari. So you have a family tie with the person that is Italian. That makes a big difference because you end up having the right to everything that a normal Italian person has. You can work, you can travel through European countries, you have access to the health system, education system if you have children. But if you don't have that entryway, I don't think it is as easy. I do have some friends that came over to Italy to go to university, to sort of have that European experience. And once they finished university, they didn't get a job and they had to go home. They simply did not have any way of getting documentation to stay here. So I know we kind of have a globalized view of the world, and we see a lot of people buying houses in Italy and stuff like that. So maybe there is some sort of special visa that you can get from investing money here or from buying property. But I do find that Italy is very generous with whoever has some sort of lineage tied to the country. So if you have an Italian grandma, great grandmother, and you want to get the visa, that is something that should be relatively simple. Not a lot of countries do that. So if you happen to have a nonno or a nonna, take advantage of that. Get yourself a passport. Alma also asks, how many pieces of clothing did I move with to Italy? Books, what I left behind. I left so much behind, Alma. I had to let things go, honestly. Again, living in Brazil, we have a lot of space. It's just very different from an European lifestyle. Here we have one wardrobe, one set of drawers, and that is it. And I had to adapt. And I don't miss anything, to be quite honest. So it's a great lesson also on giving material things its due value. You don't need as much as you think you do. Sharon asks if I've ever thought about learning how to sew my own clothes. Sharon, this is my dream. I wish I was one of those people who can just magically materialize their fashion dreams through sewing. I am terrible at sewing. I talked about this before. I actually went to school for fashion design, but sewing, kind of production, cutting patterns, that is not my thing. I'm terrible at that. I paid people to do them for me. Not proud of it. Just telling you how it is. Perhaps I will try and pick it up eventually, maybe when I have more space to have a little sewing machine and I can start venturing myself. I do think that I've improved my sort of type A characteristics in the last couple of years. But I'm just not neat enough, I'm not organized enough, I'm not detail oriented enough to sew my own clothes, so I don't. Someone left me a comment, there's no name, so I'll just read it out. They are going to Brazil in June, July for 14 days. Oh, that's a long trip, that's nice. I know it's different from Europe and US where the person lives. What should they bring in their suitcase? Brazil is a huge country. It's enormous. So depending on where you're going in Brazil, the answer to that question changes a lot. If you're going to the north or northeast, it's always sunny, beautiful tropical weather. So don't bother taking heavy coats or taking even knitwear. You're not gonna wear it. Perhaps add some linen shirts if you want a little bit more coverage, or a little cardigan or a little wrap for the breezier nights. If you're going to the middle of the country, it's a little bit drier but still pretty pretty hot. If you're going to the south or southeast, then because June is the beginning of winter, you would wear something that is a bit more transitional. It's not winter as we know it, so you don't need heavy pieces. You don't even need a coat. You probably just need a jacket, a blazer, perhaps a little layer of cashmere. That would be more than enough. Make sure you take a pair of either leather sneakers or some boots in case it rains. Where I come from, São Paulo, which is in the southeast, it rains a lot during this time, so make sure you prepare for that. But no, you don't need to take anything heavy, anything. I know when we hear winter, we kind of start overthinking and maybe get scared of feeling cold, but you probably won't feel cold at all. Next question. Hi Mari, since you're doing No Buying Month, which ended today, I can't wait. I think this could be a good question. How to balance the desire for novelty and crave for shopping with a healthy money relationship. I think doing no buys is a great way of rekindling that healthy relationship because you end up understanding that you survive, that you absolutely can be happy and get excited about what you already have if you can't shop. I think that is a great tip. Something else is being very diligent about what you buy. I also have this habit because I love fashion and I love pretty things just like everyone else. I like doing an imaginary shopping list. So I have this list on my phone that is called Fashion Wish List. And whatever I want to buy, whenever I'm on the edge of buying something, I add it to that note and it just stays there. And if the urge to buy that thing keeps kind of resurfacing, I'll pull the trigger. But most of the time it doesn't. I just forget it's even there. So you get kind of the rush of sort of owning that thing, even if you're not really owning it, but it cools you down enough for you to reconsider it with a more laser focused, kind of realistic view. Ingrid asks me if I've ever traveled to the US and if so, where. I have. I've been to New York a few times, which I have loved. It is pre-2010, so like that glorious, very New York kind of era, which was really nice. I've also been to Florida. I've been to Disney when I was a kid. I was just 6, which was a dream come true. And if everything goes to plan, I am going to the US very soon. We are going to do a little bit of a road trip. We're going to Washington, we're going to Ohio, we're going to Kentucky, and we're going to Tennessee, and a little bit of Virginia as well. So if you guys have any tips, if you have any recommendations, leave them down below, please. I love to know what the locals do. They know the best restaurants, always. Last but not least, Pratham asks, how do you plan your outfits for a busy working week, especially if we're talking about day to evening looks? I have 2 little tips for this and they kind of go hand in hand. First one is I like to, instead of organizing and thinking about a whole look, I'll think about one piece that I want to wear. So if I have a new shirt that I really want to wear that week, or if I haven't been wearing my A-line skirt as much as I probably should have, or if I just want some more color or something like that, I will kind of fill out what my desires for fashion are during that week, and I will take key pieces that will be the ones that I'll be styling. So you're not really having the pressure of having to create a bunch of head to toe looks, but you already have a starting point, which makes things easier. And then on the day off, for instance, if I have to take the subway or walk a little bit more, I know that I have to wear more comfortable shoes, and that will impact what bottoms I'm going to wear, what type of trousers or skirt I'm going to wear. If it's raining or if it's really cold, if I'm going out after work and I need something that looks put together enough that it can be a more formal outfit but still looks appropriate for the office or something like that, I will consider those things the day off and adapt that piece that I want to wear to that. that makes any sense. And something else that I like to do, and this is just something that you learn with time, but once you learn it, it is just infallible, is resorting to outfit formulas. The classic, this top with this skirt styled this way equals great outfit, and you can just change things up a little bit and it always serves you right. Once you get the hang of that, it just solves so many problems, especially when you don't feel creative, especially when you kind of don't have a lot of time to know what to wear. I'm actually going to do a whole video about this, so hold your horses. But if you already know that you love the look of a shirt with palazzo pants and you just want to change up a little bit the rolling of the shirt, perhaps a belt, perhaps adding a scarf and changing those elements, getting new looks, but with that same base, it's gold. It's style gold. And again, steal other people's outfits. I always say this, it's not a crime. The police can't get you from it. I've checked. So if you feel like there's an influencer that has a lot of the pieces that you have in your wardrobe, if someone has a style that you admire, that you feel that with the pieces that you have, you can emulate, copy, paste, no harm done. This is it, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I know we all love the fashion videos, but from time to time, I like doing something that's a bit more personal, a little bit face-to-face. If you have any other questions that you would like me to answer in my future Q&A, whenever I don't have any ideas or time to film a fashion video and I need to film a Q&A, I'll be ready with your questions. Leave them down below and we will see each other again next time. Bye bye.